Hello, welcome back to Socially Unapologetic. Today we have Audrey Bailey here, the owner of the Village Realty Group, and I'm so excited that Audrey is here today and you guys get to listen to her and her story. Audrey, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Brooke. I'm so happy to be here.
Yay. Okay, so as everybody knows, we start all of our shows with two truths and one lie. So Audrey, I'm going to put you on the spot and ask you two truths and one lie about yourself. Once you give it to us, then at the end we will recap once people get to know you and kind of hear your story.
Now I'm back on the spot then. Two truths, one lie. All right. Do I like chips?
Okay.
Am I super introverted? Um, do I take risks?
Okay, perfect. All right. Well, with that, let's get into the podcast. Again, welcome to Socially Unapologetic. Can you start by introducing yourself, telling us a bit about yourself and how you got to where you are today, and kind of a bit of the heart behind how the Village Realty came to be?
For sure. So I'm Audrey Bailey. I am a real estate broker. I've been in the real estate industry for about 14 years. That's my work life. I'm also a mom of three beautiful kids, and I wore so many different hats for a very long time. The village came about after COVID and having literally a nervous breakdown of wearing too many hats. And just always being on the go, and feeling exhausted. And so the village came about trying to unload and not do so much on my own and leveraging other people's beautiful gifts and bring that forward to clients so that they could have a really authentic and feel really supported through their life and their moves.
So when how long ago did you first get into the realty or like the real estate world?
Yeah, so about 14 years ago, so 2011, I started in real estate. Seriously, I loved homes. My mom was always flipping homes growing up, and my dad was a marketing director. So then this sense of like packaging yourself for work and plus being exposed to homes just felt like a really good fit. And then I love people. I absolutely adore people, and I just feel like I genuinely connect with people. And I wanted to have a profession where I could be with people and helping them, especially in a pretty stressful situation, and really connect. And so, yeah, 14 years ago, I wanted to do that.
And what did you do before real estate?
I worked actually with home builders. So I was in the industry, and I just felt having my license would be such a great fit. I graduated in marketing, and then I just wanted to apply the marketing skills with home builders. So literally looking at new home build sites and seeing what they needed in terms of what type of floor plans to build, what type of clients would be buying in the new home sites. And so I had amazing mentors between like a graphic designer and a copywriter, and that gave me more passion for marketing and more passion for homes.
I love that. And I think the tagline of the Village Realty is so powerful. It's not about where you end up, it's about how you feel about getting there. So can you
Mhm.
unpack what that means to you and how that came to be with the village?
Yeah, exactly. So, seriously, like I mentioned before, I felt so overwhelmed in everything that I did for work. And so I knew that that had to also translate for the other person on the other side. They could probably feel my stress and my nerves because quite frankly, it was just overwhelming. And so I tried to unpack, okay, well, so we have a goal. Let's be super clear about that goal. I think a lot of people tell themselves, okay, I want to move here, or just anything in life. Okay, I want to own this business. And then they just feel so overwhelmed. They don't even know where to start. So they won't even take that first step. And so through my own personal journey, I just figured I unpacked a lot of it and understood why we have these negative emotions or that we get so overwhelmed. And then from there, I realized it's all in our head, it's not in our heart. It's all our head because our heart knows what we want. And so the village concept came about by thinking, how can I be my best version of myself? What can I bring, and how can I bring the best to my clients? And so I realized that I could not do it alone. I had to use other people's gifts. And it's been unbelievable to see how willing people want to share their gifts. So little by little, I've reached out to the community, reached out to suppliers, and created this community called the Village to best support our clients.
I love that. And what inspired you to shift the narrative from like real estate, from transactional to like transformational?
Yeah. Um, It's funny because I always felt like real estate was icky to me. I always felt like real estate agents, even my own husband said it to me, like, what, you're going to be a realtor? Like, realtors are typically like dropouts from high school and they don't know what to do with their lives. So they just default to real estate. And so for a long time, I had that perception of realtors. And I think naturally, as I started unpacking what I was actually doing by supporting people through this transition in life, I also unpacked my own limiting beliefs on the real estate industry. And I was like, well, who are we realtors that are helping these people during this move? And so my whole perception shifted. And so the way I worked shifted. I started seeing really truly the value in what realtors offer to their clients. And it's way more than just transactions. It's way more. And I think if someone's in it for the money and it's all about the transactions, your clients are going to feel that. It's really actually a caring, genuine relationship. You're going through a moment that is so stressful in your life, and you're talking big money. And so sometimes, quite honestly, we play a role of therapists or super close friends. Like, what would you do in this situation? What would you do? And so I have to genuinely give that answer and try to intuitively tell them, like, if a house is not a right fit for my client, and they're like, no, no, okay, like, we're going to offer on this one. Maybe they're tired of looking. Maybe they feel embarrassed that we've seen 40 houses. I've got to be able to look at myself in the mirror and or them and tell them this is not the right house for you. There is going
Hmm.
to be another one. And that takes a lot because then it becomes like this really relationship. And you just have to have faith that gonna you're gonna be able to deliver.
Hmm.
No, I was just gonna say, yeah. So to me, like it was a huge shift in terms of like, yeah, of course we have goals and I want to run a certain business and I want to make a certain level of money to support my family. So I can't lie that yes, I do have intentions. But the way I go about them is so much more heart led rather than a very masculine heavy type energy where it's transactional.
Yeah, and you talk about feeling supported and like empowered at every step with that journey. So like what can you walk us through like what that looks like with your clients, like kind
Yeah.
of dive a bit deeper into that?
For sure. So I think a lot of people don't even know where to start. And I start very quickly, initially with a coffee chat or coffee meeting. We'll go in a coffee shop or we'll meet at the person's house. But I try to actually make that very first meeting about them, not about the transaction, and trying to understand where they're at and where they want to go. And really putting the human first before the real estate. And by doing that, it puts kind of everybody at ease. In a lot of cases, I sometimes like already know these people, so we already have a rapport. And then what happens is, depending on what they need and what their situation is, that's when I start calling on to suppliers and people. I really want people to know that we already all have incredibly busy life. We do not need, or they don't need me to start adding to their busy plate. So that's when, for example, I have a client just now, we're meeting tomorrow. I've met them already once for that coffee chat, and we have a game plan. They have a family, they have two kids. They've already purchased their home, so they want to list their house, and we are bringing the stagers to come in. And I have a handyman coming in because we know that from their move, there's going to be a few things that need to be fixed up before we can go on the market. We have a landscaper coming in. These are all the services, again, that we try to alleviate so that the seller doesn't have to do it. Now, mind you, some clients actually want to do some of the work and they feel very empowered to do that work. And because, again, everybody has different personality types, that's totally great and that's totally cool. And we'll work with you. I just want people to know that they are fully supported, that these options are there. I didn't know that options were there when I felt super overwhelmed. It's hard
Hmm.
sometimes to think, hold on, someone else can actually do this for me. So it's really empowering my clients and knowing that, hold on, I actually can get the support.
Yeah. And how do you choose like local experts and businesses that you want to collaborate with? Like, what values do you look for in that?
Yeah, so it'll be very like-minded suppliers. So that means that we are putting the human first and then the business second. So that'll be number one. And these are suppliers like over 14 years. Some have evolved, some have changed, but over time, these are really people that I trust, that I've used in the past, that have a good track record. So we're
Hmm.
not just bringing just a random person to complete these tasks. And some of them are value driven, like a handyman, for example, like he's incredibly reliable, and I know how much he charges, and it just makes sense with the business model.
Yeah, I feel like that's important in general because people like they're gonna trust who you prefer. They're gonna trust what you say. They're gonna be like, oh, okay, Audrey's worked with this person in the past, so I feel like that's really important to
Yeah.
have that.
I actually just released yesterday my list, my suppliers list, the village list. I just figured, why am I holding this up? Like again, I'm all about transparency and making this available. So it's actually available to anyone. My clients obviously have access to it, but I'm putting it out there. I'm not, there's a disclaimer on there. I don't warranty or guarantee any of, but these are the people that I've trusted and that I have
Hmm.
had, yeah, good experiences with.
I think that's so important, the transparency aspect, right? Like gatekeeping, you hear these words and people keeping all of these things to themselves, but it's so important to like share because we're all individual in our own ways. So like somebody's going to work with you as a realtor because they like you and how you work. So you sharing your list is not going to like deter them one way or
No,
the other.
yeah, exactly.
And what have been some of the biggest lessons or challenges you faced building your own real estate brand? I know there's probably a
Yes,
bunch, but what are the some ones that
There's
stick out?
definitely there's definitely a lot. And still as I go, it's funny because I think we're preset with our own qualities and our defaults, but I do have this like massive overachiever part that always wants to go, go, go and do more. And I think what I've learned over the last few years is to actually pause and try to really breathe and listen and see what actually makes sense. I'm afraid that at times, because I am now surrounded by this full village and I have a lot of suppliers, I have found a lot more time for myself and my clients and connections. So my overachiever part is wanting to do more and trying to create more and again, supply more, but I want to make sure I'm not taking away from that energy so that I can stay just the best version of myself to clients. Yeah, that's one of my biggest lesson right now that I'm grappling with because I have so many ideas and I want to keep making an impact and keep supporting. And so how do I do that while still maintaining, the proper self-care and being a mom and et cetera?
Yeah, so let's dive into like the boundaries part. I think as
Yeah.
entrepreneurs, this is something that um I love to talk about and I love to hear people's like opinions and just like ways that they deal with it. I think you'll never really have the perfect recipe for knowing what a boundary is in business, but what are some ways that you find yourself like able to disconnect and kind of like focus on you?
Yeah, it's a very good question, and it's definitely an ongoing
Yeah.
exercise. One that I've started doing, so I have like a particular phone pantry. Literally, after a certain time, I literally put my phone away. It is not to be used. And I don't have my phone in my bedroom. My husband thinks it's a bit crazy because if someone needs to get a hold of us, but I just don't. So, like, from the time I go to bed to the next morning, I actually do not have my phone close by. And that's really important to me. Uh, like that's a boundary in terms of like being close to tech. I try to at least take one day off of the weekend. As a realtor, it's very difficult to be disconnected, but the plan is to have one day of the week just not quite on. It's inevitable. At times, clients do have questions. I used to always reply super quickly, but on weekends, I allow myself to have delayed response. So I will only check once or twice during the day and respond. And vacations are huge for me. And so I try to take 4 to 6 weeks off with my family a year. And during that time, I do not have access to my phone. Again, like that's the compulsive, always so used to have it close by. So that is a real disconnect time. And I have a full village to support me during that time. So that's a clear boundary that I've put. Yeah.
I think the thing that a lot of women or even entrepreneurs deal with, and I hear it a lot, is like the guilt of putting your phone
Hmm.
away and the guilt of not replying. And I know I deal with it always, like especially with social
Hmm.
media. I'm like, oh my God, I need to be on my phone 24/7. And then at the end of the day, I'm
Hmm.
looking at my phone time and I'm like, I was on my phone for 10 hours today. Like that is not,
Hmm.
that's not healthy. So I want to
No.
talk a bit about like that guilt and how like you kind of like not broke those barriers, but like how have you like managed
Yeah.
and cope with that? Because I think it's a question that a lot of people have of like, well, if I put my phone down, I'm going to lose that client, or if I put my phone down and don't reply, like they're going to move on to the next. So how have you kind of like broke through that barrier?
Yeah, I think it really comes with confidence and faith that, you know what, I know my worth, I know what I have to offer my clients, and I know that um, the expectation is, and I try to really let my clients know what to expect when we start working together. I'm going to try to respond as quickly as I can. On weekends, it might be a slower rate. But that guilt feeling that comes, that's a mind guilt. That's your mind telling you should be doing this or you should be doing that. And when I observe it and I see it, I'm like, actually, I don't. I don't. And if right now I feel rushed and I feel stressed, I'm actually not going to give the best response to that client. So you really want to be in a place where you want to let it be easy. So I try to, as soon as I have that overachiever or that like that nudging voice that you should be doing this, you should be doing that, I right away I stop and I'm like, actually, do I? Is this urgent or is this important? Take some time. And then when I'm in a place of like, okay, let it be easy. I'm going to respond to this person in that time. I have 30 minutes booked for that time. I will respond then and I'll bulk answer. So like I'll maybe have 4 or 5 messages that are waiting and I'll just be in that energy of like, I'm going to give the best version of myself and the best answer. I'm not going to rush answer because that's not the best version of my response.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really important. I like that you said that and touched on that. What does success look like for you today beyond like metrics and sales? And I know every time I ask this question, I'm always like, it's such a loaded question, but I think it's so important to learn people's different perspectives on success because we all have different ways of measuring our success when it comes to entrepreneurship and running a business.
Yeah, you're so right. And I think that success uh, answer has shifted a lot for me. Uh, my long-term success, the one that I always answer, is when my adult children talk to me and want to hang out with me, then that'll be massive, massive success for me. For my day-to-day success is how calm and free I can feel during my work time. I am a fairly anxious person. And so trying to get that kind of, again, overachiever part to slow down, that is success for me. And really being in this present moment and trying to make impact and support others, that's success. And even last year, I had a phenomenal year money wise. It was way above and beyond what I had anticipated. But during that time, I was really aligned. And I think that the money came because I was in kind of that successful energy field.
Hmm. Yeah, I think that like you said with the money aspect, like obviously we live in a world where like we need money to survive and we
Yeah,
need money to live our day to day, but the amount of money I feel like comes from like within and like how you feel, right? Like if you're stressed all the time and you're anxious and you're like constantly go, 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 then like you're never going to step back and be appreciative of what you've done, right? So I think that's important that you touched on that.
100%. And I will say, actually, Brooke, what's funny is that even last year when I was like, I love woo. Like I attracted everything that I had put out. And it almost to a certain point when it came like so much. So it kind of freaked me out and I kind of froze. I was like, oh no, like this is actually working. who am I to receive that much money? And who am I? So these self-limiting beliefs are constant, even
Mm-hmm.
when you've achieved like that success. So just to always come back and go back through that process and be like, okay, well, this was great. That's phenomenal. But I felt stress and guilty even after I received it. So let's work again to just notice it and know that it all be easy. It's okay. We do need to be fully supported. We need to support our children and, like
Mm-hmm.
we need money for that. And that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And what would you say to somebody thinking of entering real estate or starting something on their own? What's like one piece of advice that you would give to them?
Yeah, it's funny that you said starting on their own, because that would be my advice is actually you're not alone.
Mm-hmm.
As I would tell someone starting in real estate that you probably feel like there is a mountain of things for you to do. And also, let's be honest, I think in the real estate industry, a lot of realtors have very big egos. And in some rooms, you can enter and it feels very unapproachable because some agents maybe are already incredibly successful and they have money and they show it off and they dress a certain way. So if you're new to this industry and you feel like, oh my gosh, I am such a small fish in this very big pond, how will I differentiate myself? So number one, you're not alone. Surround yourself with key people, mentors. You'll be shocked at how many people actually are willing to give out information. I was afraid to ask questions or ask for favors. 99% of the time people want to do it. It makes them feel good. So don't be afraid of asking questions and surrounding yourself with the right people, and dream big. Seriously, dream big, hold that vision, because you'll get there one step at a time. Even if sometimes it feels slow, it's okay. You're just expanding. You're just in motion. So don't get caught up with all of the news. Like real estate is in the news every single day, that market conditions, tariffs, oh, interest rates are up. Who cares? It doesn't matter. A lot of people have different plans. They're getting married, they have children, people are getting divorced, they're moving for work, and these people need to move. They don't care about what's happening in the, in the rest of the market. So focus on that, focus on you, your desires, and knowing that these clients will come to you. You will work one step at a time and you'll be fine.
That's perfect.
I can
And
keep
what's
going on.
no, I love it. I love it. What's one unapologetic truth that you're living by right now to kind of tie in to the Socially Unapologetic podcast?
Yeah. The unapologetic truth is that I am so convinced that if you support yourself and you look at and open your mind at different ways, I think as a realtor and how I've supported my business, there are new ways to support yourself. So what I mean by that is if you feel exhausted and you are a realtor and you're doing servicing clients, it's easy to get burnt out. So the unapologetic truth is to find the support, to find the time for you, and maybe sometimes open your mind on how can I service others in the best way, and how can I be fully supported? So maybe that means, can I sell a service that is online, or can I do something and be compensated passively? There are a lot of different ways. And so the truth is keep opening your mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. That's so important that you said that. So, Audrey, I want to touch back on the two truths and one lie. And so people can know what it is. So tell us what the lie was and what the two truths are.
Okay, I don't even remember what I said. If I like chips, I do love chips. I had said if I was introverted,
Yes.
that's the slight lie, is because I am extrovert, introvert, if you will. I overcompensate by I am shy, but over the years I've really pushed my boundaries, and so I'm an extroverted, and then I forget what my third truth was that I shared, but it was true.
That's okay. No, I love that. I love getting to know this inside of you and the business and behind who the village is because I've worked with Audrey in the Village, and I think it's so important her messaging, especially in the real estate world, like breaking that boundary, breaking those like walls of real estate's just like we purchase a home and you have a realtor and you buy it. And I think like you've really opened and expanded that and made it like a community and made people feel like warm and welcome. And you're more than just a realtor. And I think that's so important because you're in people's homes, you're seeing their financials, you're dealing with their
Yeah.
personal lives on such a big basis. And it's that trust factor. So you've really built that like authentic like business where they're not just coming to you and never talking to you again. You build like
Yeah.
relationships with people. And I think that's so important. And especially in the real estate world now coming in this new like era, I think it's so important that you've done that and kind of like showed people that it is more than just transactional. So I'm really
It
happy that
is.
people got to learn your story today and hear about that.
Thank you so, so much, Brooke, for having me. And Brooke, you were seriously a huge part of the Village and the start in terms of all the social media positioning. I think you understood my vision and my voice, and you carried it so beautifully in the launch and in the whole first year of the Village, and really positioning myself with those true, authentic values. You understood it and you executed it perfectly. So I am forever grateful for having you as part of the Village. Thank you, Brooke.
Thank you so much, Audrey. And it was so nice chatting with you. Thank
It
you.
was. Thank you.